If you go from that completed work on, and if you say, well, the best we can come to is an initial text for New Testament manuscripts, but we can't then, but then it's a leap beyond the evidence that we have to say that that initial text is the same as the original text, which I think may be advocated among certain scholars.
Sure.
I also don't find that very convincing in that if you suppose that the initial completed text did have multiple recipients, that there was a large community of Christians by that point gathering in over much of the Mediterranean basin, that initial text and even second generation copies would have been copied many times in the life of the initial manuscript, such that there would be a stickiness to the text where we can reason backwards and say the actual text that was the first generation text is somewhere in the readings that we have, even if we may not be able to agree on what the final reading is at a particular spot or a particular verse. The likelihood is super high, if not 100%, that it's there somewhere in the readings that we do have. And in light of that, I don't think that the criticism of the leap from the Ausgang initial text to the conclusion that that text is the first century, the original copy, is very warranted. I think that's a reasonable assumption to make in light of the stickiness of readings, provided that the initial the first generation, second generation copies were distributed far and wide, given the breadth of the Christian communities and the number of Christian communities meeting.
Yes, I think that's definitely true. I mean, I think that, when we look at the farthest back we can go with the text, in reconstructing, I'm not sure how you could physically date that, but the distance between our earliest physical copies on manuscripts of the text and the time that it was written, I think that period of time, it's reasonable to say that just the nature of publication and how it was performed through community, that any large scale changes just wouldn't necessarily happen, or if they would, we would know about them, which we do. When we do have those large scale changes, we have them in the case of the ending of Mark and the story of the woman caught in adultery in John. We actually do have instances where these big textual changes are talked about very early on in our history. So I think that it's enough to say that, maybe we can't be certain on every word, but, or even every sentence or something. And this talks to Holmes's micro level fluidity. But I think overall, in the overall structure of the writing that we have, I think it's very safe to say and very, very likely that we have, at least macro level, what was intended by the authors.
Thank you for listening. Credible Faith is a global missions-minded apologetics ministry with content available in 7 different languages across 7 websites: German, Russian, Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and English. If you would like to support the global apologetics work of Credible Faith, go to crediblefaith.org and click on the donate icon. If you would like me to give an apologetics workshop or participate in a debate at your university, or if you would like me to give a Great Commission missions conference or apologetics conference at your church, get in touch with me through the Contact Us section of the Credible Faith website. You can also submit a request through the website to get Credible Faith's monthly email. If you are a native speaker of Russian, German, Italian, French, Spanish, or Portuguese, and if you notice that an essay from the English website is not available on the Credible Faith website for your language, feel free to get in touch with me about translating the essay, and I would read through your translated material for quality control and the desire to see content from the essay made available in your language. Thank you for listening, and have a great night.